All right, we're on GMTV show 141.
Wow.
Bill Nolan, guess where am I? Where am I?
My guess is that you're in Lakeland, Florida.
I can't believe it. You knew it.
No, it's crazy.
I'm in Lakeland, Florida, the land of the orange and air shows. I'm at an air show. I'm at the Sun and Fun Air Show. Lots of sun, that's for sure.
Now, do they have any like old like World War II things there?
Yes, they have P-51 Mustangs. They have
the Cadillac of the skies.
Guess what I saw today? I saw an F-35, which is the latest, greatest $350 million stealth fighter, flying in formation with a YF-22 stealth fighter, flying in formation with a P-51 Mustang.
Wow.
Like three of them together. It was really
in tight
cool.
quarters, I'll take the Mustang, if it's tight quarters.
Absolutely. The Mustang was going like full speed, like 500 miles an hour, full speed. These guys are like throttled back,
The Cadillac of the skies. Like the Mustang was really one of the most significant aircraft of World War II. Like it was one that allowed escorts for long range bombing. Once the Luftwaffe had pretty much like blown it. And them and like the Thunderbolt, which is like completely the opposite, like in terms of design, because Thunderbolt looks like a tug.
What's the Thunderbolt? P-51 Thunderbolt? No, P-50.
No, it's P-24.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so
20s.
There were lots of military.
P-47.
P-47, maybe. Yeah, exactly. There was a B-25 Mitchell, the nicest one I've ever seen, called Panchito, which is like gorgeous. Lots of Korean War era stuff. They had formations with, ironically, they wouldn't fly them together. So they had T-6 Texans, and they had similar to the Texan, the
Sabres.
No, not Sabres. The Texan is a twin seat canopy.
Okay.
Like a canopy, slide canopy.
Corsair?
The Texan, and there's another one that's similar to the Texan, but they had the Russian trainers.
Wow.
They had like 5 or 6 of them flying in formation, but I'm talking about like 1940s Russian trainers.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. And they had a MiG.
Volga. It's the Volga, like
there you go. And they had a MiG 29. No, not a 29. A MiG
25.
I'm spacing out the old one, the one that's like this, the F-86 Sabre.
Is it like MiG 25? Is that what it is?
Maybe.
Or 19?
Yeah.
MiG 19?
11, 15, MiG 15. I don't know. Anyway,
I like those. Like those, the Sabres and the MiGs. Like they were fun looking craft. Like they that made for a nice dogfight.
Absolutely. So anyway, so lots of air show stuff going on. Too hot for me in the 80s. I'm not used to it, so I'm like dying and sunburned.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we got to do this today. Good to see you.
Yeah. So I have a funny story that is related to you in some extent. I'm working on my daughter's having like a bridal shower on Saturday.
Right.
And I've been given the divine purpose of working on like sort of a slideshow kind of thing, and I'm not terrible with iMovie on the Mac, and it's basically a glorified slideshow with camera moves and there's push-ins and stuff like that, and you can really sync up tracks to cuts and and I've done a couple of videos. I did one for David Johansen, and I didn't know where they were like glorified slideshows, but still they worked. Well, for some reason, and I don't know whether this is like a planned obsolescence thing or something, this thing is no longer functioning for me, and it's like,
is this on your 2002 Mac?
Well, here's the funny thing though. Like my feeling, because you're going to be in the tail end of this story anyway, and I think what's coming. But anyway, my feeling is that, the Mac Creative Suite that I have now, it doesn't go bad. Like Photoshop isn't going to go bad. Neither is, InDesign, neither is, Illustrator. They're not going bad. Like Excel is not going to go bad. Any of that stuff.
I don't know, unless they want it
older
to go
generation.
bad.
If you don't stick your head out of the foxhole, you're good. Like you stay there. And I was under the assumption, and maybe it's just user error. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I can't imagine what it is because I've backtracked everything. I've tried everything.
No.
I have a PC here that I literally downloaded another slide program onto that. And through that, I was able to at least put something together. But the audio track stuff is so rudimentary, and I'm used to making cuts on,
You know what they do? They do this thing where you'll have one little component that automatically updates, and it updates to the thing that doesn't work with the legacy stuff. Like
every tutorial, every tutorial is referencing, El Capitan, or I don't know what it is, the Matterhorn, like wherever the OS is now,
You're going to have to join the 21st century.
Wait, there's more, because as you know, as our listeners probably don't know, Ed and I occasionally gift each other stuff, and Ed gifted me this iMac that he wasn't using, 24-inch screen iMac, and I like my desktops and so today I'm like, all right, this is the day. I clean out the space that I needed to clean out. I do all this and I put it down.
Yeah.
And as I'm doing this, I say to my wife, I say, I don't have a mouse for this or a peg, and so she goes down to her computer downstairs, her Mac downstairs. She takes out the USB, and the act of taking out the USB, coincidence or not, fritzes her computer to the point that it's smoking. And, like to me, for starters, I'm just saying to her, I don't say this to her, but I actually got her to admit the crime on her own. I was like, what the fuck did you do? Like you were taking out a USB. How does this happen? And maybe it was just going to happen anyway.
You said to your wife, you said the words, you said, I'm going to go from my 2000 Mac to my 2014 Mac. And then Apple went, what? What was that? What was that? Wait, what?
Well, no, they were like, okay, that's a start. As soon as we get to 2020, then you'll be my friend again. But
you are going to need some Apple care, my friend.
So the bottom line is that the computer that you gave me has now become her primary computer. It's not working as my backup of anything, but it served a fabulous purpose, and it's like it was timely. That being said, it was like I was like 10.8.5 or something, and that one is like 10.13 or something or something like that.
Right.
And it still has fritzy relationships with the security programs here, and some of the web stuff doesn't mount. And in some cases, because as a test, I said, let's just put up ESPN and see what it looks like. It's better on this guy than it is on that guy. But I am nothing but grateful for the thing, because
I hope you got it sorted. I hope you definitely got it sorted out.
Oh, I can't say I do, but
Technology on GMTV. Yeah. How you guys doing out there in California?
Hey, we're good.
Massachusetts?
Fantastic.
I'm busted. Well, folks, I wish folks could see what happens before the show starts, because it's always hilarious. It's like right before we started, the last image on the screen was David like doing something and looking up and going, "Oh!" and then it stops, and then Jam TV. Here we are.
And then he realized, I don't have my pants on. What?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what were you doing that made you so surprised? I don't want to know.
That's about right. Well, it's good to see you guys. So we got California, we got Florida. I'm in Florida. Yes. And we got Will up in Massachusetts. So it's we got like a multi-state thing going on.
We're all over the country. So, well, basically, actually, we are all over the country. We need somebody in the Bay Area.
Do a song. Do all on the road again or something.
On the road again.
The Rolling Stones, as everyone knows, were like, had the capacity to be like a great country western band. They wrote a lot of songs that were really good. This is more of an earlier one. High and dry, well, I'm up here with no warning. High and dry, well, I could not get a word in. High and dry, oh, what a way to go. Left me standing here just high and dry. Minute I was up there standing by her side. Next time I was down there, left out of the ride. High and dry, oh, what a way to go. She left me standing here just high and dry. Anything I wish for, I only had to ask her. I think she found out it was money I was after. High and dry, oh, what a weird letdown. Left me standing here in high and dry. It's lucky that I didn't have any love toward her. The next time I'll make sure that the girl will be much poorer. High and dry, oh, what a way to go. You left me standing here just high and dry. High and dry, well, I'm up here with no warning. High and dry, well, I could not get no word in. High and dry, oh, what a way to go. You left me standing here just high and dry. You left me standing here just high and dry. You left me standing here on the road again. Just can't wait to go on the road again. Left me standing here high and dry.
Nice,
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very nice.
nice micro mashup. That was very impressive.
It's something for everybody, you know.
That was Rolling Stones, that tune?
Yeah, I believe it was from their album. It was either from Aftermath or Between the Buttons. And it was kind of a time when they were, you know, Brian Jones, who was kind of, he was more than the colorist in the band. He was more than the guy who brought the dulcimer and the sitar and marimbas and all this stuff into their sound. You know, he started the friggin' band, and he had more.
It wasn't Jimmy Miller. Wasn't Jimmy Miller on the scene at that point?
Well, Jimmy Miller was not on the scene at those two albums, but Jimmy Miller, you are mentioning to me like top 5 producer in the history of music. Like,
right.
It just so happens that everything he produced is almost the best. You know, Stones, Traffic. You know, Spencer Davis Group. I'm a Man. Give Me Some Lovin'.
Sure, right.
You know, stuff that he produced was insane. But this stuff was, you know, it was interesting enough to be held, you know, side by side kind of with Rubber Soul. But it wasn't that thing where like Satanic Majesties where they literally, you know, said, we want to make a Beatles album, you know, like it was really more, it felt more organic and kind of cool. And, you know, they were, in the beginning, they were my band. Like they were my band, like the Beatles I appreciated, and they made me want to play.
I was younger, right? So I was, you know, I was like 7, 8, 9 years old when this stuff was going on. And the Rolling Stones were like too bad for me. They were like, evil somehow.
Yeah,
like the Beatles were still very like, you know,
they were okay. White bread,
part of the Beatles I was listening to. The Rolling Stones they were singing about, you know, drugs and girls and scary stuff for my little 10-year-old mind.
Yeah, you weren't bringing them home to mother. Yeah.
You couldn't really like picture Mick doing like there were birds all around.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's like, Mom, listen to this.
No, but I mean,
no, the Stones were scary to me. I was pretty with my virginal ears when I was a young man. I remember coming back from Europe. In Europe, we listened to ABBA and you know like that kind of stuff. And
Love that,
I
though.
remember coming back from Europe and listening to like Kansas and thinking, that's hard rock. I can't listen to Kansas. Like the guitars are hurting my little ears, you know.
And now,
the Beatles, like they opened your eyes to like the possibilities that actually, the guys playing the instruments could actually be in the front of the house, and actually be playing, and you'd actually see them, and you got to know the name of the drummer and like all of that. But the Stones were the ones that basically gave you the reality of it. You could go into your basement, and if you knew, 4 or 5 chords, you could pretty much, pull together a little repertoire. And to their eternal credit, they gave full credit to the guys who wrote the songs, unlike say Jimmy Page. Like they didn't have to lawyer up to get Muddy Waters paid for the songs they stole from him. They were there from the beginning. They were a cover band, like the Beatles. Everybody was in the beginning.
Sure.
Some of the cover bands went further than others.
Yes, that's for sure. Are the Stones still going? Are they actually still touring? And
in a fashion, I guess.
If skeletons are allowed to fly, then yes, I think the odds are good.
That's not my brand of vodka, frankly, to see the people like at that age doing the thing, and God bless, and they do it.
The cartoon that I saw was these 2 old geezers are going to the rock concert, right? The security stops them and goes, "Aren't you guys a little old to be going to this rock concert?" They go, "We're the band."
Welcome to our world.
I think
Exactly.
I think there ought to also be a law that if 50% of the original band is dead, you can no longer use the name. Like you have to.
That's a good, That
and that would hurt. That would hurt like the Who or these bands that are going out.
Right.
I mean, even the Stones. The Stones at this point, it's Keith. And, it's just Keith and Mick. That's it.
Right. It's 30 years from now, Keith Richards does Dracula.
On Broadway, coming up this next week, starring Keith Richards.
When you think of the guys that like slipped the mortal coil and Keith didn't, it's insane. It just somehow it says like nothing means anything. It's just,
That's true. So I eventually, actually, I really didn't listen to Rolling Stones until college when I played in a cover band and they played a lot of Rolling Stones. And I was like, this stuff's pretty cool. Like I enjoyed playing it.
probably playing Brown Sugar, right? You were playing Brown
Sure,
Sugar.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Boulder, Colorado, Rolling Stones was what the kind of like what the Dead is today. Like all the young guys wanted to play the Rolling Stones, even though it was yesterday's music.
Yesterday's papers. Who wants yesterday's paper? That's Stones.
There you go.
Now, when you were in Boulder, did they still have like this full moon, like bonfire thing out in not quite in the prairie, but sort of?
Yes, they had all that. They Boulder, of course, had everything from the Druids and the Tree Huggers to the the cool Grateful Dead scene to the modern scene of music that was coming out of there. It was a very cool place, but there was a lot of strange stuff going on out in the plains and up in Chautauqua, the Green Belt.
Because it wasn't, like I lived in Denver and I would go to Tulagi's on the Hill, which was a great music club. Like
I lived 1 block from Tulagi's.
Yeah, and I mean Tulagi's was kind of like the bottom line at altitude. Like it was. It had the same kind of club, same kind of acts there. I saw Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks there a million times, and that kind of thing. But whenever I went up there, it always cracked me up because there was always some street guy who has a dog who's it's a golden or something.
Yeah.
The dog has like this bandana on. The dog's name is like Roach Clip, and the guy is like walking around spraying like metallic paint into a sock, and that's how he's getting high. And his face is just like old. It's just like that's
he was 32 years old.
Now it's kind of straight and business oriented kind of Boulder.
Boulder's gotten weird now. Yeah, it's a very money oriented. Although I'll tell you this, I was in Colorado. I was 2 years ago, and I went up on the hill right by where Tulagis is, and sort of down the hill a little bit from there, where it connects with Broadway. And there was a parking lot with a band that could have been the band that I played with, a bunch of 19-year-olds, and they were playing the same music. They were playing the music of the
classic
cover bands of the 80s.
Yeah. The cover bands of the 80s. Oh, my.
Yeah.
A flock of Nimrods. Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It blew my mind that these kids were playing this, this music that was a generation before them.
Well, it's like, when I was in Denver, and you would go up 25 and then you'd hit the Boulder cutoff, right where Luby Chevrolet was, you would take that little left-hand turn, and that whole stretch from there right into town, on particularly on the left-hand side, you'd see antelope, you'd see a lot of stuff. And now pretty much it's all houses, like that whole.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Until you get to the green belt, you come over that rise where you look down at Boulder. And I went to Boulder. I mean, does anybody do this anymore? I went to Boulder. I had never been to Boulder, but I applied to school there because they had a program that I wanted to be in. And they aerospace engineering, had a great aerospace engineering program. And sight unseen, I'd never visited Boulder. And I remember coming in my Buick Skylark over that rise and looking at Boulder going, what's this? This is like really cool out here.
Yeah.
And falling in love with it,
Well, I mean, that's when I went to Denver, I'd never been there. I'd never been there. I just basically, I wanted to go to BU, I wanted to go to Boston. I had like a lot of friends that were in Boston. I didn't 100% pay my way through college. So, my parents were like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. And so then I just sort of looking at the schools I got into, 2,000 miles away. That sounds freaking perfect, And so I went out there, and today, no one ever does that. Like today, for starters, you apply to 10 schools,
right.
Each one of them is not only a financial investment, but also, you're writing like, Dostoevsky, short stories in order to get in there. And my thing, I don't remember anything like that. I just basically you had like a guidance counselor who had a pipeline to a couple of schools. So they were always on your list of stuff. And then there were a couple of others. If you just thought about, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like a fucking idiot,
That's right. You sort of just followed it. But I applied and got into a whole bunch of schools, but they were all like engineering schools. It was Rochester and Syracuse and Troy, New York and Worcester, Mass. And then it occurred to me, like, I don't want to be stuck in the frozen north for college. So I ended up in Boulder.
Yep.
It's a much better place, much cooler place to be.
Well, when my daughter was looking at schools and bless her heart, she was taking into account what we could afford, but she's looking at this business school, Babson, right? So I take her there, and it's kind of, it's in Pennsylvania. It's somewhere kind of near Lancaster-ish kind of, or something. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. So I got there with her, and, while she's going in and having her interview, I'm just sort of walking around, the campus, and I'm like, can a brother just get somebody playing some hacky sack here or something? Like these people,
going on.
I mean, they were like tied up and had it going on, and it's like fabulous, but this is fucking college, you're not working at IBM 1973, it's like what the hell? Where's the college part of this,
Right.
Seriously.
Well, you were lucky you didn't go to Tufts. Back then, Tufts University, where I went, I didn't go to the engineering school. It would have been too dangerous. But all of the equipment was ancient, and the professors were great. But my friends would tell stories about, setting up equipment and stuff, and then going, well, how do you turn it on? Well, let's try this button. And they press the button, and a bolt of lightning would come out the back of his machine, and like this explosion where they're all afterwards like, what? I can't hear you. And that was at Tufts. So you were lucky. You were much safer out in Boulder than you were in Medford, Massachusetts.
Well, I had I was on the quarter system, and I had so my vacations were weird in regards to people who are on semesters, so I would have a tendency to go up and visit. I had a friend who went to Tufts, and I went up and visited, but he was in like the art department. He was majoring in like photography or fine arts. So his thing was definitely, it was not unlike when he transferred to San Francisco Art Institute. It was the same vibe. It was just sort of like,
kind of different.
It seemed comfortable to have somebody sleeping on your floor. That seemed right. So.
All right, play us a song. We'll talk more.
I like this one.
Oh yeah.
The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. Kind of apropos. Anyone can do it. There ain't nothing to it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. Since we're on our way down, we might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of life is enjoying and opening your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let that stand in your way. Everyone knows that love is the only road. And since we're only here for a while, we might as well show us some smile. Give us a smile. Isn't it a lovely ride? Whoa, sliding down, gliding down. Try not to breathe so hard. It's just a lovely ride. Thing about time is that time isn't really real. Just your point of view. How does it feel to you? Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets spinning through space. Smile upon your face. Look to the human race, isn't it a lovely ride? Whoa, sliding down, gliding down. Try not to feel so hard. It's just a lovely ride. Isn't it a lovely ride? Whoa, sliding down, sliding down. Try not to sleep so hard. It's just a lovely ride. The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. Ooh, pooched.
Nice.
Thank you.
That tune is growing on me like a piece of moss. Hey, there's Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
Hello. How's it going?
Good.
Am I too bright? I mean, I'm not very bright normally. But
Yeah. You're not that bright. Don't worry.
That's a question very few of us have ever asked.
never dared to ask. Right?
So check this out. So here's some pictures of where I am today, right? So this
Yeah.
is the vertical takeoff. It lands on its tail plane. I saw that today. Or
Now, how does
yesterday.
it, so what does it have? How does,
It's got a
is it that
counter-rotating propeller and to get to so that it goes straight up and
Got
down
two
without
sets of
spinning
rotors,
around.
propellers.
And it lands on its tail.
so it
But
can, it can
how does
somehow,
it get from like
those propellers can somehow like make it like a helicopter, right? Is that how that
Exactly.
works?
That's the
Right.
idea. It
And then
takes
you
off
just-
like that, and then it cruises like a regular airplane, right? So let's see
Wow.
what
It
else.
doesn't really look like a substantial tail to that thing.
So
Oh,
then
that's
I
nice.
found a plane that looks like the Jam Van.
I was going to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
this looks like somebody did a little acid before they
Yeah, exactly.
took flight.
It's a Mooney 201. Somebody did that, right? So,
You didn't
so
find
then,
any Scooby planes.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So then, what else have I have here? I don't know. It's pretty
cool.
small. I can't see it. So
And there you
that's
are
a
with
fake.
Tom.
That's a
With
fake
Maverick.
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
fake guy.
Yeah, that's a fake guy that's supposed to look like a real fighter pilot or whatever.
Okay.
I got a picture with the fake guy. And
Well,
then
he
I
looks
got-
like a guy who acts like a fighter pilot.
There you go, exactly. And then you get this amazing. You can like literally eat off this airplane. It is in mint condition of Tomcat, which are not in service anymore. These went into service, I want to say, in the late '60s. And this is the original Top Gun airplane, right? And then I ran into this guy.
Not the fake one.
That's not a fake guy. It's a real guy.
likeness.
How does that
It's
work?
not
How
the
do you-
real guy. Although if you got to really look at him to know that he's not the real guy.
Yeah, you do. At first, you're like, "Oh my god!" And then it's
At
like,
first you're
"Wait
like,
a minute."
What's happening here in front of the Tomcat? You know, but it's kind of fun.
Keep flashing the
That's
pictures.
pretty
Nobody
good.
will
Though.
notice.
That's a pretty good likeness.
It's a pretty good likeness.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's pretty close.
When you look like a celebrity, your choice in life is chosen. You have to become an impersonator.
that's it. I mean, I don't know. Like, did he get plastic surgery? He's pretty good. Like, he's pretty
Yeah.
close.
Or was he
Yeah.
just
Might
that
have had
way?
some teeth work done, like teeth work you could do.
Or
The
a
rest of it
fake,
looks
or
pretty
like
good.
actor's teeth. You know,
Yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah, but there was a lot of cool stuff there. You know, everything from today was the military. The Blue Angels were flying around for about 4 hours.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! the
You know,
Blue
great
Angels.
formation, 6 airplanes, fantastic,
they're awesome.
roaring overhead for 4 hours. Like today was that what they do is when they do a week-long air show, they do the Blue Angels like Saturday and Sunday for the big crowds. But they arrived today and they have to do what's called airspace familiarization, where they learn the area.
Right.
They learn where they can fly and where they can't and how tight their turns have to be and all that. So they were just doing that all day today, flying around in circles and buzzing things. It was kind of fun.
So, like, how many, like, for them to do a formation and turn around, are you talking like 20 miles? Like-
No, I mean, normal, it's probably miles, it's 10, 7.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
they're pulling 9Gs and things like this. So they're doing turns in a mile circle, something like that. And they're not
They
flying
used to-
supersonic, so they're going like 500 miles an hour.
Yeah.
What's amazing, I saw the F-35 today, which is the taxpayer
Oh,
paid
that's
$350 million, stealth jet, and
Mm-hmm.
that thing can go from. It was amazing. Like he did this thing where he flew up straight up in the air to a pretty decent altitude, and then the airplane just fell down flat like this.
Oh wow!
And it wasn't moving anywhere. It
Yeah.
wasn't powered underneath. It just, it's all computer controlled. So it just fell straight down and then went, like it's.
Oh my god! That's
Yeah.
weird.
If you're trying to chase these things in a conventional airplane, even the Blue Angels wouldn't have a chance because he can literally stop in midair. He can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
could-
they have
you know,
thrust
you just
blow
vectoring,
right
so they
past
just
it.
He can
They
pull back
actually
on the
turn the
stick and do
motors.
this and then stop
Yeah.
and then fall.
That's
Yeah.
so
So
bizarre.
there's no chance you're gonna get one in on this guy.
Well,
Yeah.
I used to work at the foot of the runway at Miramar Naval Air Station in San
wow.
Diego,
Right.
and they would do a show there every year, and they do exactly what you're describing. Before the show, they'd kind of practice and so on. And every year, one flyover they would do so low that it would set off all the car alarms in the parking
Yeah.
garage.
Yeah.
And it
That
was
was
like,
accident.
and they always did it once, but it was very clear it was intentional. It was like, let's go as low as we can possibly go.
Well,
and
but
set
this
off
is
all
the
the
thing.
alarms.
If they're going fast, they don't have to be going supersonic, but if they're going 550 miles an hour or 450 to
It was
550,
loud.
they
Yeah.
and they're low, you do not hear them until they're on
They're
top.
past. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
It's
that's
silent,
exactly
and
what
then
it's
there they are. So
Yeah.
pretty scary.
As
Yeah.
opposed to, I was once down in New Orleans for a Final Four, and I'm on the payphone. This was 1987, and I'm on the payphone talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, hold on a second, because there was an air show in the area, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it was a B-17, and I mean, it just sounded like 12 washing machines that needed tune-up. It was just, but I love that plane anyway. I mean, that plane is just a gorgeous plane, but it was like, da, 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 and you could hear it like a mile away. It was like,
Right.
I mean, gorgeous.
That's part of the problem is that the older airplanes, you heard them a mile away, so you're like, let's get out of the
Yeah.
way.
Shoot that down.
These things attack you. They're 40 miles away when they're 50 miles away when they attack you. And
Oh, yeah.
if they're coming overhead, they're gone before you even know they were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, it was more fun back in my day in World War One, where you basically,
Oh, we're talking now about
you'd
which
shoot the
wars.
guy down, you'd follow him down, then you'd go back to the place and have a cognac,
I met a guy. I met a guy at Oshkosh Air Show up in Wisconsin, and this is a number of years ago. And he was mid 80s. This guy, and he had been in World War II. And he was sitting under a B. It was either a B-17 or a B-29. I can't quite keep them straight, but it was one of those.
29's huger than that's
I think
much
it might have
larger.
been a 29. It was one of two that was around ever. And he was sitting underneath in the shade on a chair in his whole uniform with all his medals and whatnot. And he said, yeah, I was on, I don't remember if he said this airplane, but it was certainly one of those airplanes. And he said he was they have these bubbles on the top and at the tail, and where guys sitting there with machine guns rotating around, and he was on the bubble under the airplane, and the fighters were coming in and they were shooting at the fighters, like they're defending this flying fortress, whatever. And they shot the bubble off the plane. So he fell. They didn't hit him. They hit the bubble. So he fell in the bubble from like 20-some thousand feet, and he fell down and climbed out, and they had parachute on, parachuted in, and then he was behind enemy lines, but he made it to the right side. And a week later, he's flying missions again. Like they're trying to kill this guy, but he survived, obviously.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It's hard to imagine, particularly at the time when the Luftwaffe was happening, like it was basically holding formation was the whole deal. But, if you were the guy at the end of the formation or like, God forbid, you caught a couple of slugs, it was just like the attrition rate for these guys in World War II was
I think it was 75% didn't make it.
That it's basically like that. I read a great book called, One Big Week or The Biggest Week or something. And it was something about the 8th Air Force. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, it's kind of like when I saw that movie Fury and they're showing like what it's like to be in a tank. It's like, oh man.
No, thank you.
That's not for me. That makes like, submarine stuff seem like, exhilarating,
Oh, so get this. Hold on. I gotta put this on. Wait, look at what I found, right? So, all right. So this air show is put on by the people that build planes in their garage, right? The EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association. So similarly, you've got people who own Warbirds, P-51 Mustangs and Corsairs and whatnot. And they fly these things. But there's a whole section where they're literally garden furniture with a propeller on the back of it. And they fly around, sitting in their lounge, right? And I'm walking around. So there's this whole flight line of military stuff. There's just Chinook helicopter. I went on board the Hurricane Hunter, the C-130 that flies. It was there, and they had A-10 Warthogs, and they had all these fast fighter jets and whatever. And then today I went and did the ultralight. So it's all these little teeny tiny planes that are like put together with bubble gum and whatever. And I'm walking down I'm a mile away from the military stuff, and I come across this thing.
Predator.
And I'm like,
wow.
I'm like,
Is that
wait
a drone?
A drone.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. So I walk over, and I go, it's a MQ-1C or something like. It's a Reaper drone. No, this one is called like a gray otter or something like that. It's a small drone that can blow up tanks and whatnot, but it's not piloted.
Mm-hmm.
They pilot it from a truck. But they kept it over like by the ultralights. They didn't even I think it was.
They didn't put it with the
controversial or secret. Like they didn't really want to show a lot of people this thing, but it was off to the side and got to look at it.
That's cool.
Wow. That is very strange just to see that thing with absolutely no windows. It's like there's nobody inside this thing.
It's got you can see under the nose there. It's got a pod that is the eyes and ears, and of course got a big radar in that dome, chrome dome. And then it's got a jet propeller engine, and it can stay aloft for 30 hours.
Wow.
And they use it to, mostly to just spy on people, to fly
How
around.
fast do they go? They don't go real fast.
They're slow. They're probably 200 miles an hour or something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Faster than the U-2 was. I know that.
Yeah, well, those things are small, but they shot one down. I don't think it was one of those. I think they shot down an actual Reaper, or no, a Predator, which is a pretty bigger plane. over the Black Sea the other day.
Oh yeah, that happened. That happened very
And
recently.
Ran into it.
that could be why they wanted to keep this thing out. Like, we don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about aviation, not like World War III or what's about to happen.
The Russians attack that one, they'll take out the homegrown ones over there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're sending. I just read. I was like, "What is this weird plane?" I was talking to the guy. He told me the name of it. I'm like, never heard of that one. He's like, "Yeah, nobody really. We don't talk much about this one."
Yeah.
But apparently we're selling them to Ukraine, so they're going to Ukraine pretty soon.
Wow.
Nice.
Of course we are.
I had a relative I can't identify who used to he didn't work for the government, but he worked for like an intermediary, and he did sort of light espionage. So he would creep around at night in airports to check out military hangars, to find aircraft that were specific new aircraft from various countries, but he was never he wasn't a spy, he just happened to be kind of hanging out
Around a little bit.
yeah. And but I can't say which relative it is, because then somebody would like take him out with a drone. So
Yeah.
it's
He was
lost.
spy-ish.
It's lost.
Why is exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get shut down by the NSA, Bill Nolan, play us one more song.
All right. And then I got to go into pick my daughter up in New York
I know you do.
for her bridal shower. Woo!
That's right.
Oh boy.
If I cross your path again, who knows where or who knows when, on some morning without number, on some highway without end. Well, don't grasp my hand and say, fate has brought us here today. Oh, fate is only fooling with us, friend. Keep your distance. Keep your distance. When I feel you close to me, what can I do but fail? Keep your distance. Whoa, keep your distance. Well, with me it must be on or none at all. It's a desperate game we play. We throw our souls, our lives away. Oh, the moons that can't be mended, and the debts that can't be paid. Well, I played and I got stung. Now I'm biting back my tongue. Oh, I'm sweeping out the footprints where I strayed. Keep your distance. Keep your distance. When I feel you close to me, what can I do but fail? Keep your distance. Oh, keep your distance. Well, you must be all or none at all. Well, with me it must be all or none at all.
There it is.
P-38. That's what Pete wrote.
P-38 Lightning.
Yeah, P-38 is the
Ah.
lightning, or as the Japanese called it during World War II, the fork-tailed devil.
That's right.
Four-tailed devil. Wow.
I know a guy who flew one of those. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, for such a funky looking plane, they were really good. They were like a really effective plane.
Absolutely.
Well, it's great being here alone.
That was You all alone.
Looking
Just
good, Bill.
voices. We have no bodies.
You know,
It's
Bill
just
Nolan
voices.
show.
Oh, wow.
Someday we'll learn how this thing works.
Those are the words you don't want to hear. Now it's the Bill Nolan show. You absolutely don't want to hear it.
Oh my God. Good stuff. Thanks, Bill. That was great.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I got to go pick up my daughter in Nueva York. And
Now, Bill, is this like a wedding shower or a bridal shower?
this is a bridal shower.
Okay, so it's all the
So
girls.
it's the girls, and they're actually right over here. They're going to be here at Gray Barnes in the barn in the back, and like everything in today's weddings, it's just blown up and crazy, accelerated beyond what you
Just
can
like that.
imagine, and it all just comes to rest on.
I received a bound book of all of the toasts, including my own, from my son's wedding. It is very different in this day from this day and age from previous days. I'll just say that.
It's funny. I've been to a bunch of weddings because a bunch of the cousins, kind of on my wife's side, a bunch of them got married, recently, and it's really interesting to hear, how, people say like the toughest thing in the world is to speak in public. It's not for me, and it's not for. I'm sure there's a lot of musicians for whom that isn't like the biggest fear in their life. The fear is having to do music for a living. That's the fear in their life. But I mean, like you
good
listen
reason.
to some of these dads, and you're just like, oh, brother, why didn't you get a little editing here? Like, just they go on, and then in preschool, you made clay.
At night when we are
We get some
routine,
big
and I
life
read to you
lessons
this-
here. That's what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
We're looking for something here that like sort of,
And
A,
you get
a laugh, and then B, just like a little, leave them with like, oh, that was cool, and that's it. Like you don't want, it's not.
Yeah, I know
not
just what
Moses,
you mean. So
you know.
when I started teaching at Keys, when I teach at Bridgeport electronic music, right? They said, okay, we have a faculty meeting, and there were maybe 15 people on a Zoom call, right? So we're all on this Zoom call, and they go, well, you know what, Ed, you're the new guy. You get to go first and tell them who you are and a little bit of background and all that. So I talk for 10 minutes. Right, I'm like, here's what I did, and I was born a small child, and I got an accordion, and then I did this, and then I played the band, and let me give it. I went through the whole thing, and the next person who been with Keys for 20 years, whatever, came on and said, "Hi, I'm Jane, and I teach violin at so and so school, and that's it." And I went, "Oh,
next.
it was just like your name and I got it now." They've never let me live that down. Every meeting, they're like, "Ed, you have 1 minute. You have 30 seconds."
Oh my God! Well,
Yeah,
I wanted
work
to
on your
tell like
technology.
the speech of a lifetime for my son, and so afterwards, a young woman comes up to me and says, "Your toast for your son, it was beautiful. I mean, I wanted to cry. It was so beautiful." And I thought, yes, I nailed it. And then I thought, you bastard! What a horrible person you are! You're like happy that you made this girl cry. Like, what kind of an awful person are you?
Hey, that's showbiz.
Yeah, it's like you got to decide which do you want to be on the good side or the bad side?
No, if you get laughs and tears, you've done your job.
Oh, that's true. I forgot the laughs. That's true.
That's good.
know,
All
frankly,
right,
I'm
get
working
those
on this-
laughs and tears, Bill Noman. I'll see you later. Have a good trip down to the
See ya.
airport.
Have a good one, everybody.
Later.
All right, Bill.
All right, we're left with the illustrious Mr. Baird to play us some songs.
I'm going in
Dun, dun,
reverse
dun.
alphabetical order here. Yeah.
Exactly. I like this shirt. What do you have going on?
Thank you. Yeah, I got like different lights and stuff, so the shirt is like. Yeah. And what's really weird is it looks blue on the screen, and it's actually like orange.
Wow.
It's like
All
the
right.
orange disappears,
So,
the black comes out, and the blue.
You'll be
I don't
happy
know.
to know. Today you get my flying shirt, right? This is my
Yeah.
flying
That's very cool when it focuses in on
shirt that I
it.
picked up in the discount bin at the ear shop. But I ordered 15 more weird colored shirts from China, which are now sitting in my mailbox. My phone told me they've been delivered. Hopefully they don't get sent back to China. It took a month for them to come. But there's going to be a whole new look on JMTV, not the colorful hippie band shirts that I've been wearing. I'm going to retire those. thank God, and move on to something else. So that'll be happening soon, as of next Thursday.
Approved.
In my closet of Ed imitation shirts, I'm now gonna. I don't know what the hell to do with.
We're all gonna have to go buy new
There's
shirts
no
now.
shortage of weird, ugly shirts on the internet. Don't
That
worry.
is true. That is very true.
Not that yours. No, I'm not saying. Well, what is yours? It almost looks like Felix the cat, but it's not.
It's because the black for some reason comes out. It's the lights. It's the change in lighting that I did. I wanted to like just.
I think you got some sort of keyer going on.
Yeah,
Like I
blue
can see
light.
through your shirt a little bit. Pretty wild. All right, what do you got for us, Wilbur?
All right, I got Wonderwall by Oasis, which was the guy who wrote this said that Wonderwall was an image of an imaginary friend who would save you from yourself. that would be you guys in my case.
There you go.
So here we go with Wonderwall.
Yeah, go for it.
The famous Will ring out.
That's
I thought he was
right.
doing like
That's
a
right,
line
man. That ring.
I love doing that. Was that crackling up in the beginning, the guitar, to you guys, or was it just my headphones?
I heard some crackling.
There was some crackling.
All right.
It was
Yeah,
the
it was
internet
my
connection.
wire-
That's interesting.
My apologies. My
Oh,
wireless,
man.
my two wireless guys were not talking to one another. They had been like sitting silently for 45
Wireless, like
minutes.
you're way too advanced for Jam TV.
Well, it gets rid of the wires. Otherwise, I trip over things and unplug things, and it's like, what happened to Will? There's just like a couple of things, sticking up, and we don't know what they are.
Amazing. Well, we should do a behind the scenes. We should do a behind the scenes segments of everybody's setup to see what
That
how
would
complicated
be-
it is.
And mine
So I've
actually-
always wondered how you guys are sitting here looking at the camera at everybody. When I look at everybody, I'm going like this off to the side or up or down.
yeah,
So I
I'm
right
also,
messed
yes.
with my camera to get it right in the middle of the screen now. Now I can't see Dave very well.
Oh,
I have to
Yeah.
keep leaning to the side to see him.
The
Well,
future.
I still have from show number 2. I have. We'll see whether. Oh no, I can't pull this off with the camera. There was a gigantic cat puzzle that was framed that I showed Ed on the show. That I specifically positioned myself in front of
Wow.
because I knew he liked cats, and it's a huge puzzle.
Yeah,
it's
it's not
about 4 feet by 4 feet. And I wanted to turn the camera to show it, and then I realized no, it's not on the computer. The camera's like a camera, like up there. So
Right.
anyway,
Well, that sounded great. I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna actually start recording again. I've discovered this weird thing. So first, I just have a yes or no question. By a show of hands, who has heard of lo-fi music?
I've heard the words,
I
but I
know,
don't know
I've
what
heard
it
the
means.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So there's this thing called lo-fi, which started in the 90s. And so I asked the same question to two of my students separately at school. They're 16 and 18 respectively, and they went, "Oh yeah, I listen to lo-fi all the time. It started back in the 90s. You're my favorite artist." And we look it up.
Wow.
Lo-fi is. It sounds like the music that our dads listened to. That we were like, "Dad, we play something else. That's awful." Like it's like. Da, 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 da. Like
That's
very,
right.
like,
Elevator. Yeah.
right, elevator music, right?
Yeah.
And except what they do is they put like a little bit of a hip hop groove to it. So there's like a I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to beatbox it, but there's like a hip hop groove, and then there's the sort of amorphous music with no real melody, or maybe a little bit of a melody, and then it ends. And those are the songs, and it's a whole genre. And the kids are listening to, "Oh, this is great because I could chill out." But I remember when I was that age, we were rocking out. We were playing like loud guitar music. We wanted to rock. We didn't want to like chill. These
Yeah,
kids
music.
are stressed. They've got too much going on. They've got media overload, and so they're listening. The kids today, we think they're all listening to like hard banging hip hop, and they're not. They're listening to go check it out. Lo-fi music on Spotify. Type lo-fi and listen to songs of that genre. So anyway, the reason I wanted to talk to my kids about it is I was thinking, this is kind of cool. Maybe I'll start making some lo-fi music, even though it's way old guy music. Like it's,
It is. It's like
it's way
I'm going
like,
to make my father's music.
right.
Yeah.
And it's literally. So I'm explaining to these kids what music is and what elevator music is.
What the purpose was.
Right. And they're like, yeah, I played some examples of music off YouTube, and they're like, kind of sounds like lo-fi music without the hip hop beat, So, and one kid said to me, he said, "Yeah, a friend of mine introduced me to it when I was going through a very stressful time in my life, and it helped me to calm down." I go, "How old were you?" He was like, "I think I was 10."
And you're like with the rap stuff in the background.
Right. So, but there's lo-fi rap. There's lo-fi anime, like Japanese animation. There's lo-fi music with Japanese little lyrics. And a lot of times lo-fi is like, imagine music with a little hip hop beat, and then a recording of a bunch of people talking at a bar, but you can't make out what they're saying. Like, hey,
Yeah.
they have that recorded playing along with it, so you feel like you're in like a cool cafe, but you're not really part of the conversation. You're just chilling out, listen. So I asked the kids, I'm like, all right, look, I'm not trying to lead you down astray or anything, but do people like smoke pot and listen to this music? You're like, no, why would you say that?
What
They're
else
like,
is involved
totally
here?
sure. They're like, no, we just want to chill and listen to relaxing music to take us away from our stressful lives. I'm like, crazy. So I'm going to start doing stuff. That maybe Will Baird, you are on it. We're going to do some lo-fi together. I'm telling you.
All right, with the dynamic duo.
I'm going to take your music because you got a lo-fi. You're going to run it through like a turntable. So it's got to be like what you just did through like a turntable that's like that's warped. So it goes and with like record scratchy sounds, it's a little hip hop drum beat, and then we'll make millions.
We'll make millions.
Much.
It just makes me think of Austin Powers. I want $1 million.
Right.
Like, you
Because I'm thinking
moron.
like Will Baird, he's so chill. Like everybody loves Will Baird, but it's really chill. Like Bill Nolan's like kind of edgy. Like let me send him a message and whatever. Will Baird's like, let me just chill. And this is the future. So
Yeah. Well, that's that. All my videos are now real. Like, I don't know what to call them, but basically they're relaxing landscape videos. The last one I did was clouds, so it's just images of clouds in deserts and oceans and all these different places all over the world.
Right.
And then it was set to like a tune. It was a tune that no one's heard of. But the next one will be Waves, set to Every Breaking Wave by U2.
All right, I'm discovering you on GMTV, and we're gonna lo-fi your music. It's the younger generation, you know. That's the plan.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take anything I can get at this point. Now that
All
I'm
right, play us our
becoming-
big hit. That's going to be next year's big hit. Play whatever that is. Whatever you're going to do next. That's going to be the big hit
Oh
next
my!
year in
Let's see.
Japan.
I was going to play a lonesome spiritual, but I'll play this instead. A year ago, things were pretty bad when you think about it. A year or two ago, so this is like more like where they are now.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Was
All
Low-
right, Johnny Nash.
was that Lowe's?
You can
That was-
Love
I
it.
think-
put a slow
I
hip-hop
think
to
I
that.
told you guys this story like 100 shows ago, but I was playing in a park in Cambridge, and I played that tune, and a guy who was reading a paper behind me turns around and goes, "Hey, that was the best version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay I have ever heard."
Oh no!
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you
Thank
tell him Johnny Nash?
I didn't have the.
Did you tell
guts
him?
to, you know.
Doctor, you're
man.
like, yes, it is.
Come
Yeah,
on,
it's
Get him
whatever you
angry
want it
after
to be.
that.
Yeah.
beautiful man.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
cool park.
Yeah.
Magical things happened in that park. This dog would come over and sit behind my amp. Like, think about it. This dog comes over and sits behind your amp, like leaning against the amp. And the third time it did it, that I was there, the owner explained to me that the dog was deaf and that it liked the vibrations of the music from the amp. And that was why it would come over and sit really close to the amp.
So take a look. We're already trending in Asia.
All right.
Ooh,
Where can I buy Will's Lo-Fi?
Seriously.
wow! You're on, brother.
Nobody gets
got a
credit
market.
to the producer, you know. Like
We had a
that's
drum
it.
track on that last
We
song.
have
All I had to do was
pre-orders
replace
already.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and straight from Japan. Here we
Now
go.
for
Very
only
nice.
$19.95.
There's
another.
Will Baird on KTEL.
Lo-fi. That's amazing. Hi-fi, lo-fi. Is there a mid-fi? You know, maybe.
Stuff that I do.
That's the name of the record, Mid-Fi. I played in a band. So there's a famous blues artist named Little Walter, right?
Oh yeah.
It was a famous blues guy from back in the day. And there's another guy from back in the day named Big Walter, right? So I played in a band with Walter Lewis, right? And so we used to call him Medium Walter.
Medium Walter. He's kind of like the mid-Walter.
Mid Walter.
The mediocre Walter.
Mid-Fi by Will Baird.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. Like I
There
want to
you
be
go,
known
genre.
for. I invented the sneaker phone. That's like the only contribution I made to society.
A sneaker phone.
Yeah, that was that was why I became an EMT, is to
By
try to
that
make
much.
up to humanity, to make up for that. I'll save some lives, and that'll, like, somebody will forgive me for all that crap that we made in China and floated over on a boat. It was pretty strange. I mean, you would order 250,000 of these things. You know, Sports Illustrated had a lot of subscriptions it was selling using football phones and sneaker phones and things like this. Because people would be, it was like the man in the street interview. People would go, you know, wow, it's a phone. You know, we went, that's it. That's going to be the ad. What that guy just said. You know.
Wow, it's a phone.
Exactly. So the whole idea was come up with something that where someone will go, you know. So we had, for Entertainment Weekly, we had the couch potato phone, which, you know, looked like a little cute potato with this little, sort of looked like, yeah, like a cute little potato.
Were
little
these
spuds
real
and stuff.
things?
Yeah, these were they were like $50,000 you'd pay to get a mold, like a clay. You'd get a sketch, and then they would create a clay model of it, and then that would go off to China, and they would make 250,000 of them for you and send them back, and you'd use them as subscription premiums. My favorite was the somebody came up with the idea of the bleacher creature, which was.
What's
And
that?
they didn't have a very clear concept for the artist of what it was. So what it came back as was, you remember the California Raisins?
Yeah.
You remember that they danced to, you know, they had little feet and, you know, cute little things. It looked like a cross between the California Raisins and our publisher. So that did not see the light of day. That one, someone has that somewhere, but that got flushed away. The bleacher creature.
Well, speaking of the bleacher creature, there's Eric.
Oh,
How you doing?
hey, man.
He's on
Good to
board.
see you. Are you not in Japan? Where are you?
I am not in Japan. I am in
Wow.
Greece, New York.
Where's
which is-
Greece, New York?
It's just west of Rochester.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah. And if you write a letter, you can write Rochester and it'll still get there. But
Very cool.
and it's right that way is Lake Ontario.
Wow.
I could run for 3 minutes and it would be there. And then there's a pond called Long Pond that's connected to it. And my dad's house, my dad and stepmom lived here. And there's Long Pond, which is a beautiful long pond about lake size.
All right, I've got
And-
your
and
coordinates
there it is.
programmed into the drone right now. You're gonna be sending
coming
your-
after
not that
you.
drone. Which
The
drone? What
Raptor.
drone?
Home drone.
This drone.
Yes,
Yeah, this,
very
this
good.
one. We got to load it in.
Very good. Yes, very good. Yes, and so I
What's that
saw
word
that
means?
you were doing your thing, and I'm actually helping my stepmom move to assisted living. She got in.
sorry.
I've been here for 2 months, and I'm going back to
Wow.
Japan on Tuesday.
Wow.
It's a big deal. Yeah, that's a
It
big
is
deal.
a big deal.
A big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. We
Understatement.
just went through that with my
That is
mother-in-law.
a
Oh, did
big
you?
deal.
Really?
I guess I'm
Wow.
gonna miss you on this
Terrible.
trip if you're going back on Tuesday. I'm in Florida until Monday.
Oh wow, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was one of the biggest deals of this was getting her landline transferred to her assisted living space through Spectrum, which is the cable service here.
She didn't want to just vanish, like her number is like
Right.
disconnected. She wanted
No,
to.
she wanted her phone, her answering
she's had
machine that
since
she can
60s.
that she can deal with, and she had to have that, and it was literally over 12 hours on the phone and maybe 3 hours with real people at the Spectrum place.
Wow.
And I don't mean to rag on you guys and get it out, but that's what happened. Yeah, and then just got solved 4 hours ago, and that's
Wow.
why I have the room to hang out with you guys. And
Because
say,
she
"Hey,
wasn't
how you
moving.
doing?"
If you didn't have that phone hooked
Yeah,
up,
then it
she
was not going.
moving.
Yeah, she was not
Right.
going.
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
Eric,
Yes.
Eric,
Get him on
how old is your mother?
My stepmom is 86.
86. All right. All right.
The doctor just told her in January not to drive.
Wow.
Wow. Huh.
There you go.
Well, at least
Very
the doctor told her. I mean, it's amazing how many doctors don't tell people
Don't
that.
tell 'em,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
why are you
Yeah.
letting that happen? You know.
Yep. So
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Eric was my one of my college roommates, and we had to hang out over bunny poop.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
remind everybody the truth. The truth will set you free. You know. So.
yeah, you guys were talking about college and everything, and going point blank, and I hadn't heard of Ed's story about not knowing, not seeing Boulder before he went. But
Oh,
that's
yeah, no.
the same story as me. Also, we were
Wow.
both, and that's why we
Yeah.
were both in temporary housing, and we didn't get dorm rooms together. We didn't get dorm rooms at all. We were put into like housing for visiting professors or something like that.
Right.
And he was in the room next to me.
Right.
And he had a really cool DX7, and I had
Yes.
a
Well,
guitar.
before that, yeah, I had some
Yeah.
cool synthesizers. I still have all those synthesizers from those days. And I remember when I got to that office building, they're like, we have over capacity,
Yeah.
but we got you an office in the administration
Right.
section, whatever.
Right.
That's good news. And so that's the bad news. The good news is we're putting you in a room with one of your high school friends. And I went, I didn't have any friends in high school. None of them would have come here. Like what? And so they put me in with this guy, like who was a major deadhead, and Keith Fox was his name. And Keith and I did not get along so well. So I told them, I said, listen, if you don't let me get off-campus housing, then I will play my synthesizer so loud that you will not be able to conduct business in the office, which I did.
and Ed is the guy who suggested to me, let's move off campus, and because they had broken their promise that they would give us a dorm, and so they said, okay, just leave, and
Get out, because I had this Pro One synthesizer that made this like roaring bass sound and a big amp, and I played it through the amp and it shook the building, and they're like, all right, get out.
Get him out. Get him
wow,
out.
I didn't hear that part of the story, but hey, yeah, and we ended up moving to a place that a guy about 6 or 7 years older, or maybe even older than that, Paul.
Right.
He had an attic studio in his place,
Right.
and so we moved into a good place. Yeah, and Ed was rehearsing his band in the living room for a while there, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was near Tulagis. That was like a couple blocks from Tulagis.
Yep.
There you go, Boulder, Colorado, back in the olden days. Do you have a guitar in
I do. I always have a guitar.
He's
awesome.
got a guitar. He's
What
not
are you
afraid
gonna
to
do? You
use
gonna
it.
bring that guitar back to Japan?
Well,
or-
I'm just wondering because I have a lot of guitars in Japan also, so I'm just wondering what to do with it actually, and I have to I probably won't bring it on Tuesday, because I'm going to come back and we're probably going to sell the house. It's
Yeah,
a really
yeah.
nice house, and I realize now that I'm the only one. Maybe my sister. My stepmom has other relatives in Ohio and stuff, but it's like, no, I got to be here, and so it's a real change. Maybe the gods of employment have purposely taken away my gigs in Japan. I used to gig all over Japan, but COVID came and took away a lot of gigs. So I
Me
have
too.
a few
Oh my
gigs.
God.
I got a few gigs to do in April and May, and but I'll come back to fucking take care of selling the house. Jesus Christ.
Getting that. I
Yeah.
mean, she's lucky to have you to do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been here 2 fucking months, man.
Wow.
Yeah. And it'll drive you nuts too.
It'll
It's
still
like,
go
you know,
on and on.
I don't want to get rid of that, and I want to be sure to give this to a friend. I'm
Oh.
not sure which friend yet.
Oh,
so
have you? Yeah. You okay? You know what's going on, baby.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Yeah. It's like, well, you know, like, I
Thank
want to
you,
give
Will.
this to David. David, do you want this? Okay. Okay. Now we have to get David to come and get it. David, for Christ's sake, come and
Eric's
get the
gonna
fucking
get it.
thing. You know, it's like that's one thing, Mom. It's just one. We have thousands of stuff here. You know. So yeah, I feel your pain.
We've all, I guess, this is the age that we do deal with this. So,
Right.
and once it happened so suddenly, I mean, it dawned on me so suddenly that I have to go, and then I had a clear month. I thought I was coming for 3 weeks, and then I stretched it to a month and a half, and now I've stretched it to 2 months. Wow.
Well, it's
So-
strange to see your parents in that situation too.
Yes,
It's totally different than what you're used to looking up to them for.
Yep. Exactly. So it's
Cool stuff. Well, play us a song.
it
Come
is.
on, play a song.
So yeah, but that's another strange thing is that I haven't. I did actually once. I got my mom into the place March 16th. That was the first time in a month and a half that I actually touched the guitar. So it was,
Wow.
Because,
it was the longest I haven't touched the guitar in ages.
Yeah.
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 I don't know, maybe since I was 3 or something.
Wow. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Jesus. So
Check with the facility and see if
I
you
don't-
can just go play for an
yeah.
hour or something.
Yeah. So lately, I've just been playing songs like Fuck Spectrum, Fuck Spectrum, Fuck Spectrum, Fuck Spectrum, Fuck Spectrum, Fuck Spectrum. Ah, yeah.
And Optima,
I like that. You know, you could make a lo-fi version of that.
Yeah, we got to work.
Be very
I
mellow.
like various
Fuck
versions.
Spectrum.
Lo-fi
Fuck
channel.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
For my next number.
I have like 4 versions. That was actually the 4th version.
Then there's the reggae version. There's the-
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Calypso.
but also different words. You know, they were more obscene. There was some, yeah.
what about Verizon? What about Optima? What about
Well, so what would one do, you know? So I don't even know what I would sing, but, you know, I sang a song. Let me put this underneath the neck here. I still really like the song I played when I kind of felt my dad walk in me. I think I sang it on Ed's show the first time from Japan. But let me try to sing it again. I was just walking upstairs, right? There's the door there. You see that door? That goes to the living room, and there's a stairway upstairs. And I walked up there. My dad passed away like 5 years ago, just before COVID.
Oh.
So I come back another 2 months later. I mean, I was there while he was at the hospital and everything, but another 2 months later, and I go up the stairs, and I'm feeling like he's in my body. And the dog, Kirby, who has since passed away also, he looks at me and he goes, he seemed to see my father. Now, this is what I was imagining, you know. I don't really believe it, but it really felt real.
It was there.
Well, the
Yeah, it was
mushrooms
real.
probably did that. Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
And so, and also I have different opinions than my dad, but we always talk to each other with love, and it seemed like the world was coming apart, but I always thought that love and understanding was very important. So let me try the song again. So you've been to heaven now. What's it like? How's your father been? Can you really see everything down here? And was it you? After walking inside of me, what the world was standing on, what a life, what an opportunity. Sometimes it's just a little too hard. It's the wind, it's the water, so strong. So strong. Everybody you love, everybody you know, everybody you see. Everywhere you go, it's the wind, it's the water, so ring a bell, who could say how long? Ring a bell, who could say how long? Ring a bell, ring a bell, ring a bell, yeah. All we can do is carry on. It's a fight, but there's love involved. We know we're right, but sometimes we're wrong. It's a fight, but there's got to be love involved. So you've been to heaven now. What's it like? How's your mama been? Can you really see everything down here? And was it you? I felt walking inside of me. Walking inside of me.
Very nice. Very nice.
So that's that song.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good piece of music. Yeah, I always loved your music. You have a very unusual approach to songwriting. I just love it. Warm and nice and kind of simple and cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's nice to have you guys listen. I've been kind of in isolation here.
Yeah, I know how that feels. You kind of lose yourself when you're in that kind of a new environment. You're like you've lost all of your connection to everything you know, and it must feel very strange.
Yeah. So I appreciate you guys listening.
No, I loved it.
It was amazing. Your guitar had this very full sound. I don't know what you're playing through, but it was. I'm assuming you don't have like all your studio equipment with you.
Yeah, no. Right now I'm just using what was a Primo MacBook Pro in 2019, just when COVID was starting, and my daughter was going to, it's just a black $500 Takamine, but that I bought like at a Guitar Center or something when I was here for the beach or something.
I gotta have one. I gotta have something.
Yeah, and but my daughter came when COVID came to New York City, and she was going to school in New York City, so she cruised back to Japan. But she still had to do classes over Zoom, and her computer died all of a sudden, and I didn't know how. Yeah, and we had the Mac. I heard one of you guys ragging on Mac, but
one.
I'm a Mac guy, and
totally Mac guy. But so the Mac dies, and the guy takes it. But I'm a good father. She needs a computer to do her classes, right? So I go, and everybody is buying computers because COVID is happening. And all they had was the Primo big MacBook Pro. So I bought that for her, and she used it for 2 days. But then Mac came back. And 2 days later, they had fixed her nice, decent MacBook Pro, smaller one, and it was such great service. And so she didn't want the big 16-inch one because she didn't want it in her backpack going to school in New York. So she said, "You guys keep this one." I was like, "Oh, okay." But it's been great.
Brand new.
It's and so I've actually done TV song work on this, like last year when I was coming to keep track of my stepmom and everything. It's been great. And at that time I did have mics and stuff, but right now I'm just using the MacBook Pro.
It's amazing. It's all good. Yeah.
It sounds good too.
Yeah.
I'm a big Mac fan. What happened was I gave Bill Nolan a MacBook, an iMac, a desktop Mac. And because his other Mac is like a 98.
G5 or G3 or whatever they were.
So old, right? And he tries to get it working on JMTV, and sometimes it doesn't. And we've been troubleshooting it for years. So I got him this older. It's like a 2013 MacBook, an iMac.
Right.
And I got it for him, and he finally tried to hook it up yesterday or 2 days ago, and he didn't have a mouse, so his wife unplugged the keyboard and mouse from her Mac downstairs.
Right. That's what I heard you guys talking about. Fire. Yeah. And then my sister called, so I missed a big thing after that. But yeah.
It's on fire. So he gave her the one that I gave him. So he's back to 1998 or whatever.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, I'd beware of technology that's getting older. Like I got this. This is what caused our crackly song on my first number,
Right.
And it's like 3 years old. Which I guess in musician electronics years is like 500 years old. But you also notice that it has my name on it, just like all of my equipment. I carefully label it all with my name and phone number, which everyone should do. You those of you at home, you kids, you future stars, label all your equipment.
Meanwhile,
even the stuff you
What's that,
work at, even you label the stuff that you use at home. And don't bring the gigs?
Just so that I don't forget that it's mine. Yeah.
Okay. I label my stuff that I bring to gigs, but yes, Ed, go ahead.
I played in a band with a guy. Speaking of new and old technology, his bass was made in 1811
Oh, baby.
Wow.
in Tyrol, Austria, and he plays this jazz bass that was a classical bass, double bass.
Yeah.
11 it works fine,
It's like this big stand-up, like a stand-up kind of bass.
Yeah,
Wow.
nice.
Man.
If I may just interject, now that you mentioned a classical bass, I saw a RPO concert with my stepmom. She loves going to classical stuff, and we saw a Shostakovich piece that was just wild. And I haven't seen a professional. The Rochester Philharmonic is actually really, really good. There's the Eastman School of Music and everything. And it was so overwhelmingly wonderful to hear wonderful instruments all playing together. And the piece was gorgeous. And there was a guest Italian woman director who's apparently very world renowned, and she did a wonderful job. And it was strange and psychedelic almost sounding, and then the ending came up to a beautiful, almost evil sounding peak, and then calmed down like you find your home. And it was very small sounding sound, and then it faded out, and then you want to hear the silence after the reverb. But the people behind us, there was this old guy who said, "It's over," right after the last note. But the silence, he didn't realize the silence was so much part of it. And I had lost myself in it. And I just went, ah! And even I'm still just growling about it. I dreamt about it, how he ruined the silence of the piece.
Did you get their name and phone number? If you give me their address, we'll take care of it for you.
We'll take care of it.
Send that drone there. Yes, please send the drone.
So he stole your pin drop moment. That's like that moment after a piece where it just blows everyone so away that no one wants to applaud.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, send that. But that is exactly
That will be
the
the
thing.
revenge.
When you have that pin drop moment, I've had that once or twice in my own things, but this was a huge, not huge, it was maybe 500 people or so.
Yeah.
But everybody was totally silent except the guy right behind me telling his wife, "It's over, let's go," or something.
I'm so done with this one.
But you know what? You have a good story. You'll never forget that person now.
And it almost heightens how wonderful it was, or could have been. Yes. It was incredible.
Eric, you got one more song for us?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Thank you, Ed, for letting me play.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I might have played them before, I don't have all that. But these are the songs that I've been playing. And I like this song. Let me take one out. I went down to the weeping willow. I said thank you for being mine. Then I climbed up the weeping willow. Again. now forever. And I'm here with you. My soul, and you are not afraid, neither am I. I can see everything from here. And it looks just fine. I can see everything from here. And it looks just fine.
Very nice.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Fantastic. Eric Jacobs. My God, good to see you, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for
it's
letting
great.
me hang out, man.
Thanks
It was
for
cool
that.
to, cool to listen to you. You're doing you're on a mission of love for your
That's
dad.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
your dad would be proud of you.
If I
Yep.
can say one thing about that last song, yeah, Mission Love, and the willow tree in that song was the willow tree that I lived in when I was a little kid in Williamstown, Massachusetts. And I would climb up the willow tree, and I was there like way high, way too high. And my mom, not my stepmom, but my mom,
Right.
and they all
Right.
got along. They're both
Mhm.
alive, but my mom would say, "Oh, Aaron, don't do that." But my dad would go, "Let him climb."
Whoa.
Let him climb.
Yeah, and so when there was a big 60th birthday party. I'm going to be 60 this year, but for
Ooh,
his
there you
for
go.
his-
Yeah.
for his 60th birthday party, I made a speech, and the whole theme was he let me climb tall trees.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just let me go, and that's why I'm such a weirdo.
But you're his weirdo.
Thank heavens you are. Thank heavens
Yeah.
you are. Fantastic. All right, you guys, that's the end of Jam TV show 141. Good to see you all.
Oh wow!
Good to see you, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look, he's going.
We killed it. We're doing a short night tonight because I'm
He's
down
like,
in
I closed it?
Florida.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
Yeah,
going to
you.
Epcot Center. I'm going to Disneyland at Epcot Center.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Enjoy yourself, Ed.
Yeah.
Glad
Yeah.
you stopped
Have
by,
fun.
Eric. Good to see you, Will Bear.
Oh, I'm
Dennis.
thank
Sunscreen,
you
Ed.
all.
Hey,
Sunscreen.
man.
Yeah, thank you all, you guys. It was really nice to
Yeah.
hang out
Oh.
and talk with human beings.
It's great to
There
come
There
back.
you go.
Come back
There
There
soon.
you go.
Come back
See you
soon.
soon,
Come
everybody.
back.
Yeah, I'll see you in
Yeah.
Japan.
All right.
on the field.